How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to talk about what Kevin O'Leary just put about $12 million in. It's something that I've put money in myself, and I'm really excited about. I want to talk to you about it from a holistic approach because I've done little videos here and there on this subject, but this one is going to be a little bit more in depth and, like I said, holistic. I'm going to look at all the companies that are buying this and what I think will happen. So let's just get into what Kevin O'Leary has said recently about this asset and then what he's saying now.
You and I originally clashed, if you want to call it that, around a topic that you're so ingrained with. It's part of your brand. It's Bitcoin. I'm like everybody else saying, if it works, I should own some. But frankly, all I've seen so far is volatility.
So right there, this is just from 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago. Kevin O'Leary said that he doesn't believe in Bitcoin. Now, something that just came out today is that Kevin O'Leary reverses his stance on Bitcoin, says crypto is here to stay, invests 3% of his portfolio. Now, this is between Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's really interesting. He still doesn't like the volatility, but he thinks it's here to stay now that institutions are buying it. Now, before we get any further, I want to say, if you guys are interested in this, you guys can check out BlockFi down below. I'm an affiliate of theirs. I hold a good majority of my money in this company. I have a lot in Bitcoin, so I have about 12.5 thousand. I really want to add more over the weekend, but I'm saving up for a house. I have about 10,000 in Ethereum. Then I have 125,000 in GUSD, which, if you don't know, that's a stablecoin. Something that I also found really interesting over the weekend is that BitBoy Crypto did a little interview with Graham Stephan from the Iced Coffee Hour. Take a look at what they said about this in BlockFi, the GUSD, and what they think about it.
That's what we saw. So you like USDC. Yeah. I've noticed BlockFi pays like 8% on that. How are they able to pay so much money? And why shouldn't I take like 500 grand, put it in USDC, and just get the interest on it?
Yeah, no reason.
This is what I've been wondering the whole time. You know, GUSD is a little bit different than USDC, but it's very similar. It's tied to the US dollar. In my opinion, the risk is very low in this, and it pays 8.6% in GUSD. And Ethereum, it pays 5.25%. Bitcoin, it pays 6%. Pays monthly. I just got paid here. You can see $360, and this is just for part of the month because I didn't have that much money in there for most of the month. But this is a really good affiliate program that I love. I mean, I love talking about this because I think it helps so many people out, especially if you're interested in getting into crypto. If you want to keep some money in GUSD to pay you an 8.6% rate, and then as time goes on, when Bitcoin drops a little bit, you buy a little bit with your GUSD. It's really easy to do. You can check out the link down below. They're also giving you up to $250 in bonus, depending on how much you deposit. There's also a link down there to my Patreon. If you guys want to know exactly when I buy and sell different stocks and different commodities in general, you can check out that link. I did do a video on VACQ today. I talked about it at about $12 and maybe 40 cents, $12.50. I bought it then. It went all the way up to 15. I was telling people, hey, check this out. For some reason, YouTube didn't promote the video. But then once it got up to 15, I said, guys, it's a little bit high. I personally, if I hadn't been invested, I would wait a little bit. And we're seeing a nice little dip. So we called it nicely, helping some people out. If you want to know exactly when I buy and sell different stocks, you can check that out down below. Now, back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 12.5% today. This is after it was down very significantly over the weekend. We saw lows for the first time in a couple weeks since really the Tesla hype. After that, it went from about 40,000 all the way up to 57,000, over 57,000. Now, I have not bought since Tesla bought it, but it was a very attractive valuation over the weekend. Now, of course, I know some people aren't interested in this. However, I want you to keep an open mind because take a look at everything that's happening. First of all, Kevin O'Leary invested, pretty old school. He bought about $12 million worth. He's worth about $400 million. He said his portfolio is about 3% of this cryptocurrency now. We also have Tesla that bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, plans to accept it as payment. We also have MicroStrategy, which just this weekend bought more Bitcoin. Now, they bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin last week, and now they're buying more. They saw a 10% sell-off, so they bought 328 more Bitcoin. That's about $15 million over the weekend. And this is on top of them just buying $1 billion last week. Now, we also have Square that bought $170 million worth of Bitcoin last week. We also have the fact that MicroStrategy CEO thinks that this will one day meet a $100 trillion market cap, which is 100x from where it is now. So he's expecting Bitcoin to be $5 million per coin. Now, that might be a little bit lofty, but we have ARK Invest that's also pretty bullish on it, which I'll hit in a second. Michael Saylor, the one that just said that about Bitcoin hitting that huge market cap, also says that he is working on getting 1,400 corporations into Bitcoin. So he did a little 2-day event a couple weeks ago, and he said that 1,400 people were included in that. He's helping companies move some of their balance sheet over to Bitcoin, and it's just interesting to see how this all is working. So many different companies are now looking at it because they have to. If Tesla's buying, if Square's buying, if MicroStrategy's buying, if a bunch of other companies are buying, they don't want to get caught in the dust because they have to answer to the board of directors, which has to answer to the shareholders. They need some kind of strategy. This isn't something they can just brush off anymore. They can't laugh about putting, a couple $100 million in Bitcoin. They really have to take it seriously. And as time goes on, some of these companies are going to just hold on to this, and it's just going to help them beat the competition, right? I mean, how many people that buy Teslas have some portion of their net worth in Bitcoin? I would assume it's a pretty decent amount compared to someone that might be buying, Coca-Cola stock or something. So I think that people that see that will be even more drawn to these companies, will be more interested in investing in the company itself or into Bitcoin, or, using it as a payment that will actually help the company build revenue. I think that this is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where enough companies have to buy in now because they have to show that they're willing to change and to adapt and to buy into this asset. And I think as time goes on, and of course this is my own opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, I think as time goes on, we won't see fluctuations in price like we have recently. Because as more and more companies buy up more and more of the market, we're going to see a much more stabilizing in price, a much higher stabilization in price. ARK Invest says that if the S&P 500 were to put 1% of their balance sheet in Bitcoin, we would see an increase of about 40,000 per Bitcoin. Now, this is a little while ago. This is when the price was a little bit lower, but I think we're starting to see that. I think institutions are buying right now. I think it's going to catch some people off guard in the retail markets over the next quarter, over the next couple quarters, seeing how many S&P 500 companies are now buying Bitcoin. They show here too, if the S&P 500 puts 10% of its balance sheet in Bitcoin, it would raise the price up over 400,000 per Bitcoin, about 10xing where it is now. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen anytime soon, but I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I would love to buy more. I really want to buy more, but again, I'm saving for a house. But right now, I think more and more institutions are buying Bitcoin. More and more companies are having to really consider this. We're seeing retail investors, some famous retail investors that, are a little bit more old school, Kevin O'Leary, for example, that are having to buy or feel like they really should be buying Bitcoin. Now, I really like BlockFi. Again, I think even if you're kind of, on the fence or something about Bitcoin, the fact that they pay you 6%, as long as you have 3 Bitcoin or less, if you have more than 3 Bitcoin, then they pay you a little bit less in interest, but they pay you an interest on your cryptocurrency, which I think should get some people over the hump. Also, GUSD is a very good way of investing if you want low risk, but you want a fixed yield, at least for now. I mean, it could change in the future. I don't want to say it's fixed like you get locked in or anything like that. It could change, but since I've been in BlockFi, there hasn't been any mention of that. So that's something to consider. I think that we see a lot of old school investors that are having to take advantage of this, having to take a look at this, and I think more and more money is going to flow in. Now, I could be wrong. Of course, do your research, but I'm really interested in this over the long term. I think this is a good place. Of course, it's not a stock. It's not the same asset class, so it has its own risks and rewards, but I think this is a good place to put some money, especially if you're willing just to, set it aside and not think about it for a while. This could be something that makes a significant amount of money for a lot of people, especially with getting that interest rate. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to see my video from earlier today on VACQ, a stock that I bought today and it started to run up a good amount, I definitely would check out the video. It's on the end screen. I also have another video on what's happening in the market that I'll put up on the end screen and kind of what stocks I'm looking at. So thank you for watching those. Thank you for checking out BlockFi and checking out the Patreon too. If you want to see exactly when I buy and sell stocks, there's also that link down there to WeBull in case you want 2 free stocks. Just deposit $100. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.